and welcome students to today's class that is on polynomials. This is from mathematics part 1. So we will be continuing with the earlier exercise, that is practice set 3.2. Yes, so just a minute. Yes, so we continue with practice set 3.2. Question number 5. From there we will continue today. The question says divide first polynomial by second polynomial and write the answer in the form dividend equals to divisor times quotient plus remainder. Now this is a very standard formula and we can quickly check how that works or how it satisfies by a simple example. Okay, so here let us say we are dividing a number. Let's assume the number is 4 and we are dividing it with 3. Okay, so 3 times 1 is 3 and the remainder would be 1, right? So this is called as the remainder. The top one is the quotient, 3 is called the divisor, and 4 is called the dividend, right? Now we are just verifying this formula, that is what is divisor times quotient plus remainder. So if we substitute the values, divisor here is 3 times quotient is 1 plus remainder, that is again 1. So clearly if we simplify, we always start with multiplication first and then addition, right? So 3 times 1 will be 3 plus 1, that would give us 4, and that is same as the divisor, which is that is same as the dividend, that is 4. So in short, we are getting back the dividend. So this is how we can verify this formula. And what we are asked to do in this problem is we need to divide the polynomials and we have to write the answer, the solution, in this given format. Okay, so let's begin with this problem. We start with writing out the dividend inside and the divisor outside. So x cube minus 64, we are dividing this with x minus 4. All right, students. Now, let me make this division part really easy for you. So I will be giving you certain steps, and the steps are like that. Step 1, divide the first term by the first term. Okay, so step 1 is divide the first term by the first term. That is, the first term over here is x cube. So x cube divided by the first term of the divisor. So we are dividing first term by first term. That would be x cube by x. We know x cube is x times x, and we are dividing it by x. So x and x gets crossed out. So we are left with x squared. That means we need to put x squared on the top. So x squared, we put it on the top like that. And then step 2, multiply whatever we got in step 1 with the divisor. So step 2, multiply. What are we multiplying? Whatever we got, that is, we got x squared. So x squared times the divisor, which is x minus 4. Now we are multiplying. So how do we multiply? We are distributing, right? So x squared times x will be x cube minus x squared times 4 will be 4x squared. We will write this at the bottom. So here we write it like that, x cube minus 4x squared. So that is step 2. And then step 3, that is subtraction. We subtract these two expressions. So subtraction, when we are subtracting, always we should start with changing the signs of the bottom row. So if we change signs, this x cube is positive, it will become negative. This 4x squared is negative, it will become positive. Now check, positive x cube and negative x cube will get crossed out. We are left with 4x squared and minus 64. Clearly, these two are unlike terms, so we cannot combine them. So we are left with 4x squared minus 64. Whatever is left, we are just writing it out like that. Okay, and now we will repeat the process. The process is step 1, divide. What are we dividing? Divide the first term by the first term. What is the first term here? It is 4x squared, and the divisor, the first step, the first term is x. So we are dividing 4x squared by x. 4x squared can be written as 4x into x divided by x. X gets crossed out. We are left with just 4x. And where do we write this 4x? On the top. So we write it over here plus 4x. And then the step 2, we multiply whatever we get here, we multiply that with the divisor. What is the divisor? X minus 4. So just distribute. This will be 4x squared minus 4x squared minus 4 times 4 is 16x. So we write it at the bottom, 4x squared minus 16x, like that. And then step 3, that is subtraction. How do we subtract? Change the signs of the bottom row and combine. So changing the signs, what do we get here? 4x squared will become minus 4x squared, and 16x will become positive 16. Easy. And then just combine. So here combining will give us 4x squared, and negative 4x squared will get crossed out. We are left with positive 16x and negative 64. Are they like terms? No, they are not like terms, so we cannot combine them. We cannot add or subtract them. So we write it as it is. This is 16x minus 64. Again, just check, can we divide it further? Then yes, we can divide it further, because the degree over here and the degree over here, that is degree of this bottom row and degree of the divisor, is same. So we can still continue dividing. Again, we are going to repeat the same 3 steps. What is step 1? We are going to divide the first term by the first term. What is the first term here? 16x. So 16x divided by the first term, that is x. X will get crossed out. Where do we write this 16? At the top. So plus 16 goes over here. What is step 2? Multiply whatever we got in step 1 with the divisor. Divisor is x minus 4. So simply distribute. What do we get? 16 times x is 16x minus 16 times 4 is 64. So we write it out over here, that is 16x minus 64. And then step 3, subtraction, right? So subtraction means we change the signs of the bottom row and combine the like terms. So changing the signs, positive 16x just gets changed to negative 16x, and negative 64 will become positive 64. And now just check, both are same terms with opposite signs. They will get crossed out over here as well. Negative 64 and positive 64, it gets crossed out. We are left with a 0, right? So far, what have we got? We got the remainder. Remainder is equal to 0. What is the quotient? Quotient is the expression at the top. So the quotient over here is x squared plus 4x plus 16. What is the divisor? The divisor is equals to x minus 4. And of course, the dividend, that is x cube minus 64. And then we are just asked to write it in a particular format. We will be doing it. We will be writing it in that format. So dividend, that is equals to x cube minus 64. And we are going to put up everything in this format. So what is the dividend? The dividend is x cube minus 64, which is equals to divisor. What is the divisor? Let me write it out for you. Dividend equals to divisor time quotient plus remainder. So the divisor is x minus 4. We write it in the parentheses, the brackets, and times the quotient. So quotient is x squared plus 4x plus 16. Now notice that when we are writing both the divisor and quotient in the brackets, we don't put any sign between the two brackets, because it straight away means that it is multiplication. Okay, no sign means it is multiplication. And plus the remainder. What is the remainder? It's 0. So we add a 0 like that. This completes the solution. What we did, we started with dividing. We followed these three steps, and then you need to write it out separately. What is the remainder, quotient, divisor, dividend, and then as per the question, we write the answer in that particular format. That completes the solution. I hope this problem is very clear to everyone. Let us look at problem number 2 now. So we start with setting up the division. That is, we write the dividend inside and the divisor outside. So here we go. 5x raised to 5 plus 4x raised to 4 minus 3x cubed plus 2x squared plus 2, and we are dividing this by x squared minus x. So how do we begin? We start with step 1, that is dividing. We divide first term by the first term. Over here the first term is 5x raised to 5 divided by the first term over here, that is x squared. So divide by x squared. Clearly x raised to 5 means those are 5 x's, and it's a 5 over here. X squared means those are 2 x's. We just cross out these 2 x's, and so we are left with 5x cubed, right? Otherwise, you can also use the law of exponents, which says that when the bases are same, we can subtract the exponents, right? So this will be 5x raised to 5 minus 2, which is nothing but 5x cube. Okay, so anyhow, we get the same quotient, that is 5x cube. We write 5x cube on the top like that. Okay, and then step 2, what is step 2? We multiply, right? Whatever we get in step 1, we multiply that to the divisor. So step 2, that is multiply whatever we got in step 1 to the divisor. Divisor is x squared minus x, right? Simply distribute. So 5 times 5x cubed times x squared will be 5x raised to 5 minus 5x cubed times x, that will give us 5x raised to 4. What are we doing? When we are multiplying, please notice carefully, when we are multiplying, we add the exponents. So 5x cubed times x square means 3 plus 2 will give us a 5. And then 5x cubed times x, here the exponent is 1. So 3 plus 1 will give us a 4. All right, students, we are simply distributing. And where do we write this? At the bottom. So here we write it 5x raised to 5 minus 5x raised to 4. Okay, and then step 3, that is subtract. So we change signs of the bottom row. Plus 5x raised to 5 will become minus, and minus 5x raised to 4 will become positive, right? So the signs are changed, and just check, first two terms, they are same, exactly same. They always will be exactly same with opposite signs, and it gets crossed out. We are left with 4x raised to 4 plus 5x raised to 4. So 4 and plus 5, both the variables are same with same exponents, right? Therefore, we can combine them, correct? So combining 4 plus 5, that will be 9x raised to 4. And we can pull down the next term, that is minus 3x cubed. We can write it out completely plus 2 like that. Okay? And again, just check, this degree is greater than this degree, so we can continue the division further. What are we going to do? We are going to repeat the same steps: divide, multiply, and subtract. So dividing first term by first term. What is the first term here? The first term is 9x raised to 4. This is the first term. So 9x raised to 4 divided by the first term over here, that is x squared. So 9x raised to 4 divided by x squared, that will be, just to simplify, the two x's get crossed out, we are left with 9x squared. So this goes at the top, so plus 9x squared, and then step 2 we multiply. 9x squared multiplies to the divisor. The divisor is x squared minus x. We are just distributing. So 9x squared times x squared, that will be 9x raised to 4, right? Because 2 plus 2 will make it 4. And then 9x squared times x, the exponent is 1 over here. The exponent is 1 over here. So adding 2 plus 1, that will make it 3. That is 9x cubed. And where do we write this expression? At the bottom, right? So this will be 9x raised to 4 minus 9x cubed. Okay, and then the third step, we subtract. So subtracting means changing signs. This will become negative, this will become positive, and just check, we can cross out the first two terms, same numbers with opposite signs. Over here, this is minus 3 plus 9. X cube means we can simplify them, we can combine them. So minus 3 and plus 9, that will make us 6. And we give sign of greater number. Greater number is 9, sign is positive. So that would be 6x cubed. And we bring down the remaining two terms, plus 2x squared plus 2. Still we see that the degree of this term, the degree of first term here, is greater than the degree of the divisor. Therefore, we can continue with the division. Okay. So we again begin with or continue with those three steps. First step will be divide first term by the first term. So that is 6x cubed divided by x squared. And what do we get? X cubed and x squared will get crossed out. We are left with just a x, right? So we are left with just one x, that would be 6x. So dividing, we get 6x, we put this on the top, plus 6x like that, and then multiply. So what are we multiplying? The whatever we got in step 1, that is 6x, with the divisor. Divisor is x squared minus x. What are we doing? We are going to repeat the process. So x squared in 6x times x squared, that will be 6x cubed, minus 6x into x, that will be 6x squared. And where do we write this expression? At the bottom. So that gives us 6x cubed minus 6x squared. And then the step 3, we will subtract, right? That means change the signs. Very important step, students. Change the sign and then combine the like terms. So we are changing the signs. This will become negative. This negative will become a positive, right? And then we see we can cross out the first two terms. So first two terms get crossed out. We are left with plus 2 plus 6, that will be 8x squared. And we bring down this plus 2, so over here. Now again think, can we simplify this further? Can we divide this further? That's the question, students. So yes, we can divide this further. Why? Because the degree over here, that is 2, the highest degree, that is 2, is same as the degree of the divisor, right? So until the degree of this last expression is less than the degree of the divisor, we can still continue. Okay, so here we see both the degrees are square and square, so we can divide once more. Fine. So dividing means we are going to again follow these three steps. So step 1, how do we begin? We start with dividing the first term by the first term. What is the first term here? It is 8x squared, and the first term of the divisor is x squared. So 8x squared divided by x squared, clearly x squared and x squared will get crossed out. We are left with just 8. And where do we write this 8? Yes, you all are right. It goes on the top. So over here we write it as plus 8. And then the next step, multiply. So whatever we get on step 1, that is multiplied to the divisor. Divisor over here is x squared minus x. So distributing, what do we get? 8 times x squared is 8x squared minus 8 times x will give us 8x. So let us write it out. That is 8x squared minus 8x. And students, what is step 3? Step 3 is to subtract. So let's subtract. That means we will change signs first and then combine. So changing signs, this 8x squared will become minus 8x squared, and this negative 8x will become a positive x. Yes. And we see that the first two terms over here will get crossed out. What are we left with? We are left with a positive 8x and 2. Are they like terms? No, they are not. So we cannot combine them. We write them as it is. So over here it will be 8x and a positive 2, like that. Plus 8x and plus 2. Now check. Is the degree of this last expression greater than or equal to the degree of the divisor? No. As we see, the degree is less now. It is less than the degree of the divisor. We stop here. This is the remainder. Okay. And then what we do next? We are going to write out what are the divisor, quotient, remainder, all those things, right? So here the divisor, that is x squared minus x. The dividend is the complete expression, that is 5x raised to 5 plus 4x raised to 4 minus 3x cubed plus 2x squared plus 2. The quotient is the top expression, that is 5x cubed plus 9x squared plus 6x plus 8. And the remainder is this last expression, that is 8x plus 2. All right. And we need to write this in the standard format that they are asking for. This is the format: dividend equals to divisor times quotient plus 1. So what is the dividend? This complete expression. So 5x raised to 5 plus 4x raised to 4 minus 3x cubed plus 2x squared plus 2, that is equals to divisor. What is the divisor? Divisor times quotient and plus the remainder. Divisor times quotient plus the remainder. And we write each of these expressions in brackets. Fine. So first thing over here is divisor, that is x squared minus x. And then the quotient is 5x cubed plus 9x squared plus 6x, of course plus 8 is there. And then finally we need to add the remainder. So plus 6x plus 8, and the remainder, that is 8x plus 2. That completes the solution. Let us keep this in parentheses or brackets as it is. Okay. So that completes the solution. I hope this is very clear so far. And with this, we will start with a new topic on polynomials, that is division by synthetic method. Division by synthetic method. So here we see what is synthetic method first. So for division of polynomials, there are two types of divisions. We can do it in two ways. First is the normal long division, and second is the synthetic division. Now this is really easy and time saving because we don't use all those variables that we used in the long division. Synthetic division deals with only the numbers. Okay, so we will be looking at one example before we begin the exercise. So for synthetic division, the basic criteria is that here for this class, actually for ninth standard, the divisors they have been using in our textbook are simple versions. That is, the divisor will be of the form x plus a or x minus a. This is the simple form. In higher classes, you will be of course learning some complex versions of the divisors, which can be of the form which can be of the form ax plus b. Yes, it can be of the form ax plus b, but for this class, only for ninth standard, it is of the simple versions x plus a and x minus a format. Okay, so let us look at one example. Let's say the question is 3x cubed plus 2x squared minus 1, and we are asked to divide by x plus 2. So how do we begin? All right, so the first step is to set up the synthetic division format. Now, what all things we require here? So we make a L-shaped figure, or we just draw a plus sign like that, one horizontal and a vertical line like that. And then we are going to use the coefficients of the divisor. So what do you mean by coefficients? What do you mean by coefficients? The numbers which are next to the variable, they are called as the coefficients. So the coefficient of x cube is 3. The coefficient of x squared is 2. And minus 1 here, we see that there is no variable next to it. This is called as the constant, right? So we are going to use only the numbers for synthetic division. This is the special part of it. Okay, and one more important thing, the degrees should always be in descending order. The degrees should be in descending order. That's the main criteria. Okay, so luckily for this problem, we see that the degrees, they are already in descending order, but one of the degree is missing. Just check, students. So this is 3, 2, 1. Where is the term with the degree 1? It's missing. So we need to arrange it in descending order. We need to put up the terms in standard format where the exponents or the degrees are in descending order and all the terms are present. So this can be written as 3x cubed plus 2x squared. The x raised to 1 term is missing. X raised to 1 is same as just x. It is missing, so we can put a 0x like that, and minus 1, which is the constant. So now you see the degrees, they are in descending order. All of them are present, 3, 2, 1, and constant has the degree 0, right? But we don't write it because x raised to 0, we know that is equal to 1. So the first step is we write out the coefficients in the first line over here. We write out the coefficients over here. Okay. So what are the coefficients? It's 3, then a 2, then a 0, and then a negative 1. So the coefficient is 3, 2, 0, and a negative 1. Okay. And then the divisor. We use the divisor next. So what is the divisor? It's x plus 2. We will be using the opposite sign of this number. Be very careful. This step is very important. Okay. So even if this is x plus 2, we will be using the value of x to be negative 2. And suppose that was x minus 2, then we use x equals to plus 2 like that. We are using the opposite number whichever is given in the divisor. So here it is x plus 2, we are using minus 2. I hope this is clear so far. And then we start with the calculations. So students, observe carefully because this is really easy. If you get this in first problem itself, you're going to do the other problems on your own. So how do we begin? We start with pulling down the first number as it is. So this 3 is written down as it is, and then we are multiplying. So we are multiplying this minus 2 with this 3. Minus 3 times, sorry, minus 2 times 3 will give us a negative 6. So we write that minus 6 over here. Okay, so once again, what are we doing? We are simply multiplying. We are multiplying the divisor with whatever is there at the bottom, and then we write it over here. Okay, so negative 2 times 3, that is negative 6. Now add the columns. Adding the columns means 2 minus 6. 2 minus 6 is minus 4, right? And then we repeat the process. So what are we doing next? We are multiplying. This minus 2 gets multiplied to this negative 4. So minus minus is plus. 2 times 4 is 8. We write 8 like that. And then combine the columns. 0 plus 8, we always add or subtract whatever as per the requirement, like 2 minus 6 we subtracted here, so we are just combining the columns. So 0 plus 8, that will give us 8. And then again the last step is the same thing. We are multiplying this minus 2 with 8, and we are writing the product over here. So minus 2 times 8 will give us minus 16, right? Minus 16 like that. And then what are we doing next? We are combining the columns. So combining the columns, minus 1 minus 16 will give us minus 17. All right, so that completes the synthetic division. Isn't that easy? We are using just the numbers. We are simply multiplying and combining. We are multiplying and combining, right? So the next step now, once we have completed this synthetic division, we need to write out what is the quotient and what is the remainder. The last number is always the remainder. Okay, so we got here the remainder to be, the remainder is equals to negative 16. And then we need to write out what is the quotient. So what is the quotient? This bottom row gives us the quotient. Bottom row gives us the quotient. Okay, now how do we write the quotient? What will be the highest degree of the quotient? Then just check. We can just quickly look at the problems that we did earlier. Just check here. If we are the dividend over here has the exponent 3, what is the degree of the quotient? It is 1 less, it is x squared, right? Also you can look at this problem. Here the highest degree was 5, but the degree over here is 3 because the divisor had 2. So it is just that we are reducing the degree by the number of degree, highest degree at the, with the divisor actually. Okay, so for this type of problems we are like looking at only the linear divisors. Okay, so the degree will reduce by 1. Okay, another way of finding out the quotient is look at the number of terms. How many terms are there? Those are 3 terms. So the degree of the quotient will be 1 less. The degree of the quotient will be 1 less. There are 3 numbers, so 3 minus 1, that is 2. So this will be the degree. Okay, once again, there are 3 numbers, so 1 less, 3 minus 1, that will give us 2, that will be the degree. So just apply the variables to all those 3 numbers. So that is 3, it's a minus 4, and 8, right? 8 over here. So the degree is 2, we put x squared over here and go on applying the degrees in descending order again. So x squared, this will be x, and this is plus 8. Of course, the constant will not have any variable. That gives us the quotient, right? So once you understand the logic, this is like very much time saving method, and also the calculations are easy to do. Okay, let us look at the exercise now. So practice set 3.1, we will be doing few questions. Just check. The question says divide each of the following polynomials by synthetic division method and also by linear division method. So for this year, this linear division method has been ruled out. All right, students, so that's not there for this year. Divide each of the following polynomials by synthetic division method, and then we are asked to write the quotient and the remainder. All right, so let's get started. How do we begin with this problem? We start with writing out, or we start with setting up the synthetic division. So here we have to draw a horizontal line, we draw a vertical line like that, and then look at the degrees of the given expression. This is 2 2m squared minus 3m plus 10. So the degrees are 2, 1 and 0. They are already in descending order. So straight away we are going to use the coefficients. What is the coefficient here? It's 2 minus 3 and then 10. So we write 2 minus 3 and then 10, right? Next step is to use the divisor. Since this is negative 5, we are going to use the opposite sign, right students? We are going to use the opposite sign, that is a positive 5. So we write a 5 over here. And then what is the next step? We simply bring down this 2 as it is, okay, and then go on multiplying. So the step will be 5 times 2, that is 10. We write 10 over here, and then we are going to combine the columns, right? So combining the columns, we get minus 3 plus 10. Minus 3 plus 10 will give us a 7, right? What is the next step? We multiply this 5 again with the next number, that is 7. So 5 times 7 will give us, 5 times 7 is 35. So we write 35 over here, and then again combining the columns, that would give us a 45 over here. Let me just do this complete thing without the arrows now. Okay, the arrows were just for understanding. So first step, we pull down this 2 as it is. We write 2 here. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. 5 times 7 is 35. And then combining the columns, we get 45. So just check, we have got the remainder, right? We have got the remainder, that is 45. So we write it out over here. The remainder is equals to 45. And what is the quotient, students? So as I said, we simply count the numbers. Those are two numbers. So two numbers, that means we will just subtract 1. So that would be 2 minus 1 equals to 1. So the degree will, the highest degree of the quotient will be 1. Okay, so 2 and 7, simply we write x over here, because the degree 1, writing 1 or not writing 1, that doesn't matter. X raised to 1 is same as x, right? And we put a positive sign here. So that gives us the quotient, 2x plus 7. Okay, that completes the synthetic division. I hope this is very clear. Let's look at few more problems. So question number 2 of this part. So first step we start with setting up the synthetic division, right? So the first step is to set up the division, that is we draw a horizontal line and a vertical line, and then we have to check if the degrees are in descending order. So please check, this is x raised to 4, x raised to 4 plus 2x cubed plus 3x squared plus 4x plus 5, right? And just look at the degrees. This is 4, this is 3, this is 2, here the degree is 1. So we have all of them, and they are in descending order. We are going to use the coefficients. What is the coefficient here? Nothing is mentioned, means the coefficient is 1, it's 2 here, it's 3, 4 and 5. So we are going to write out the coefficients. It is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And we are dividing by x minus 2. So we need to use the opposite sign. Opposite sign. So that would be plus 2 will be changed to minus 2. And now we can simply perform the multiplication and combining the terms, right? So first step, bring down the first number as it is. So that will be, 1 will be written as it is. Minus 2 times 1 is minus 2. 2 minus 2 will become 0. Minus 2 times 0 will become 0. 3 plus 0 is 3. Minus 2 times 3 is minus 6. 4 minus 6 is minus 2, and then 2 times 2 is 4, negative negative becomes positive, so that's a 4 over here. And what are we left with? What is the remainder, students? Yes, you all are right. 5 plus 4 will give us 9. So there we have the remainder, that is 9. Okay, quickly, something I could recollect here. Just check for this problem, the earlier problem. Here the question had the variable m. The question had the variable m. So here we need to write the variable to be m. So the quotient won't be 2x plus 7. It would be 2m plus 7. The variables should match. Okay, so if the question is in m, the answer has to be in m, right? Same way here, the the variable that is used is x, so the quotient will be in x, right? So let's begin with writing out the remainder. What is the remainder here? It's the last number, that is 9. So remainder equals to 9. And what is the quotient? So for the quotient, we check the number of numbers at the bottom row. Those are 4 of them, right? So we have 4 numbers, then less 1, subtract 1, 4 minus 1 will give us 3. That means we have to start with the degree 3. Okay, students, now be very careful. Please observe this attentively. The degree has to start with 3. So it's like x cube over here, x square over here, then x, and then this is a constant without any variable, right? So let us write out the polynomial. How will that look like? 1 times x cube, that is 1x cube, plus 0x square. No need to write this term because 0x square is nothing but 0, right? So no need to put this term here. 3 times x is 3x, there is no sign, that means it's a positive sign, and a negative 2, so minus 2. This is the quotient. I hope this is very clear to you. Okay, so the quotient is x cubed plus 3x minus 2. Okay, students, I hope you all are following and also solving out this problem with me. With that, we will look at one more problem. We have time for one more problem. So let us look at this question. A very interesting question. Why? Because there is only one degree given, that is 3, and 2, 1 are missing. So the first step would be to arrange or to write out the other terms which are missing, right? So y cube will be written as it is. There is no y square term, there is no y term. Straight away it is minus 216. So clearly this has to be plus 0y squared plus 0y and minus 216 as it is. Okay, students, so what are we doing? The first step, we are writing out this given polynomial, which is the dividend. We are writing it out so that there are all the degrees present, 3, 2, 1 and a 0 for this constant, right? And then we will just set up the synthetic division like that. So we write the coefficients. What are the coefficients? The coefficient here is nothing, that means it's a 1. So the coefficient is 1. It's 0 over here, 0 and minus 216. All right. So let's write it out. The coefficients are 1, 0, 0 and minus 216. Isn't that nice? And now the next step is to use the divisor. So what is the divisor given? It's y minus 6. It's y minus 6 and we have to use the opposite sign. Use the opposite sign always. So minus 6 will turn to be positive 6. We write 6 over here and then we continue the process. Bring down 1 as it is and now multiply. 6 times 1 is 6. We write 6 over here. Combine the columns, that is combine these two terms. 0 plus 6 is 6. Again, then multiply. 6 times 6 is 36, right students? We write 36 over here. Combine the columns. 0 plus 36 will give us 36. Again multiply. So 6 times 36 will give us 216. We write it over here, 216. And combining the column, we get the remainder to be 0. right? The last number is always the remainder. So here we have got the remainder to be 0. Remainder equals to 0. And then we are going to write out the quotient. For quotient, we count the number of terms here. So it's 1, 2, and 3. Three numbers, right? So three numbers means the degree has to be 1 less. The degree will be 1 less. So 3 minus 1 is 2. So that means we start with x squared, right? But just be careful with the variables. The variable in the question is y. So we will be using y here, right? The degree will be 3 minus 1, 2. So y squared, a y, and y raised to 0. That keeps this as constant. Fine. So what will be the quotient? 1 times y squared is y squared. 6 times y, let me write it out over here so that you don't get confused. So 1 times y is y squared plus 6 times y is 6y and plus 36. That gives us the quotient. Okay. So the quotient is y squared plus 6y plus 36. Okay, so that completes this problem where we are asked to find, or we are asked to find the quotient and remainder only by the synthetic method. All right, let us check. We can try out. Yes, we can work on one more problem. So again here, how do we begin? We check if the degrees are in descending order. So this is a different type of problem where the degrees are not arranged. So let us quickly arrange the degrees in descending order. In descending order. So this will be 2x raised to 4 plus 3x cubed. Remember one thing, the sign in front of the term is its sign. So wherever 2x squared will move, it will move with this negative sign. So minus 2x squared plus 4x, and just check there is no constant here, right? There is no constant. All the terms have x with them. So plus a 0 like that. Fine. What have we done? We have arranged the terms in descending order of their degrees, and we check that all the terms are present. Okay, so constant was missing. We have added a 0 over here. And what will be the next step? We will set up the division problem. We will set up the synthetic division. So here we use a horizontal line, a vertical line like that, and we write out the coefficients. So what are the coefficients? It's 2, it's 3, it's minus 2. We have to use the negative sign. It's 4, and then finally it's a 0. So 2, 3, minus 2, there's a 4, and it's a 0 at the end. The constant is 0. Okay, and next we use the divisor. We know the divisor here is x plus 3, but we have to use the opposite sign of the divisor. We are using the opposite sign. So plus 3 will become minus 3 here, and then we just continue with the normal process of synthetic division, that is bring down this 2 and then multiply like this. Minus 3 will multiply with whatever number is that is at the bottom. So minus 3 times 2 is minus 6, and then you combine these two terms, it will be minus 3. Minus 3 times minus 3 will give us 9, and 9 minus 2 will be 7. 3 times 7 is 21, so that has to be a negative 21. And now combine these two terms, what do we get? That is 17, right? But a negative 17, why? Because there's a negative sign with a greater number. So minus 17, and again multiply minus 3 times minus 17, that will give us 51. Negative and negative will make it a positive, so plus 51. And combine the terms like this. So 0 plus 51 is 51. And there we have the remainder ready. The remainder here is 51. So we write out the remainder and quotient. So remainder is equal to 51. That is the last number. And then we look at how to find the quotient. So the quotient here is how many terms are there or how many numbers are there at the bottom row. Those are four numbers. So four numbers means the degree will be one less. The degree will be one less. That will be 4 minus 1, which is equals to 3. Right? So we start with x cube. So here x cube, this will be x squared, here it will be x, and then a constant for the 17. That will give us the quotient. So what will be the quotient here? 2 times x cube is 2x cube minus 3 times x squared is 3x squared plus 7x, and the quotient, the constant, that is minus 17. So here is the quotient ready with us. 2x cube minus 3x squared plus 7x minus 17. That is the quotient. Okay, that completes this problem. I hope everything is clear. So what we did today, a quick recap. We started with the long division method, where we did two problems on long division, and we had to write the answer in a particular format, that was dividend equals to divisor into quotient plus remainder. We did two problems on long division. Then we saw how to solve synthetic division, right? The main steps we saw, and we did few problems. Okay, the main thing is you just need to be very careful with the coefficients. Like, if you need to be careful with the variables, like if the question has a x, then the quotient has to be in x. If the variable in the question is y, the quotient has to be in terms of y. Okay, that was all for today's class. Thank you, students, and have a nice day.
Thank you, teacher.